So, welcome, Elaine, to the back to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So, yeah, let's jump into today's email. There's a quote as normal, and then a bit of teaching around that, and that'll lead us nicely into today's lesson. And got some text, quite a short text today. Just
oh, good, yeah. Is John joining us? You don't know. You won't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm never sure. You may not. So we'll just crack on. It's only 3 paragraphs though, so it's not
Good.
really.
All right.
It's an introduction.
Good.
It's an introduction to chapter 5 we're on to. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, so if you can read that headline quote from Fyodor Dostoyevsky. He was a famous Russian novelist.
Yeah. The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for.
He speaks about the most fundamental need of every human being. What are you living for? What's your purpose? What's the meaning?
Life. Yeah, that's the Viktor Franklin.
That's the question. To find a worthy purpose to live for. And this is what Viktor Frankl called man's will to meaning, which was the basis for what he called logotherapy, the third Viennese school of psychotherapy he founded, which postulates that the search for meaning is the primary motivational force for human beings. So the story was from a concentration camp, Nazi concentration camp. Even in that very dark situation, where he had very little personal freedom and the conditions were horrendous, he still found meaning. He was able to find a meaning that allowed him to carry on for 4 years, 3 to 4 years. He was in, which is a long time, in such horrible circumstances, because he had this higher meaning that he gave to experience, and he saw it as a test. He saw it as an opportunity to learn from, and that this was going to give him the experience and the insight that he needed to write this book that he started formulating while he was in the concentration camp, which was man's search for meaning. And he was, I have to survive this ordeal in order to write the book. And that was his purpose. So he did. I mean, he said there were guys who'd come in and they were, fit, strong, healthy when they arrived, and then he'd just see them decline. And in a few months they were dead because they didn't have a meaning. They just went, this is hopeless. Yeah, it's just, the living conditions are appalling, and so there's nothing to live for, and they'd just die. So it's the meaning that drives us, every person, to find fulfillment by finding meaning in their life. The ego, of course, or belief in separation, has invented many purposes and goals, but none of them is truly worthy of our minds because none of them are lost. So the ego gives us a purpose or multiple purposes, but none of them are ultimately true. But what Yeshu is saying is that the word value can be applied only to what is eternal. What is temporary only has value to the extent that it helps us awaken from the dream of time to an awareness of the eternal, as Yeshu explains in this quote from section 4.1a of the Manual for Teachers about the development of trust. So if you can read that.
It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. It is only to the extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in the world of illusion. The word of value can apply to nothing else.
Yeah, as he says, it takes great learning to understand that everything is helpful. So the most seemingly unhelpful, harmful, hurtful, traumatic experience is helpful. As he says, it takes great learning to understand that. Because what it's doing is it's helping you to let go of your ego. And the more traumatic it is, the more it's revealing the ego to you and giving you an opportunity to release it. It's not an easy lesson to accept, especially when you've had there's significant trauma that happens in this world on the level of form. Think of Viktor Frankl's, you talk about trauma. So look at his situation.
Yeah, his was
He had a life, and then along comes this Nazi war machine and just totally destroys that. Takes you off to a concentration camp against your will. Your career's gone, your family's gone, they separate you, they kill his whole family. So his whole his father, mother, sister or brother, and then his wife, all dead. And put you in this horrendous situation for 3 years. And somehow you've got to, live through that and find some kind of purpose and meaning in it. But he did. So, it's possible. These extreme examples show us that it is possible. And he wasn't defined by his trauma. His life was defined by this work of logotherapy and helping people to find meaning rather than dwelling on the loss that he'd suffered. So it took great learning, but that's why often we have these experiences. It's so that we can really learn, the deeper level to help us undo the ego. So the only thing that's valuable about any experience is to the extent to which it's helpful, i.e., it helps us to let go of the ego and return our minds to God or pure formless awareness of perfect love. So in today's recorded discussion and meditation session, we discuss how being aware of and managing our mental and emotional state should be our number one priority and our only real purpose in life. It's to let go of whatever negativity arises, which is how you manage your mental and emotional state, which is forgiveness or letting go. That's your only real purpose. Because if you do that, well, then everything else falls into place. You can let go of your negativity, then peace, love, joy, happiness are yours by definition. There's no negativity, and your life flows forward with ease and grace in the flow of this love, peace, and joy, rather than in the resistance of the ego. So to do this effectively, you must interpret everything that seems to happen in the dream world, especially the seemingly negative things, as helpful to your purpose of letting go of your ego or separate self and awakening to your eternal self. Well, you must see everything as helpful. And this is the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation of the world, so that everything you experience in this world serves your true purpose of awakening from the dream. That's That's all it's there for. Whatever seems to happen, no matter how awful it seems to be, or how nice it seems to be, it's there to serve the one true purpose, which is awakening from the dream. That's the Holy Spirit's correct interpretation, right-minded interpretation of every thing and every circumstance and event that happens in this world. So a big part of living this purpose is to be truly helpful yourself, which is beautifully phrased in this translated prayer from section 5a of chapter 2, which we read a month or so ago, on special principles of miracle workers. So if you can read that daily prayer to be truly helpful, this is in the translated form using translated language.
I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent the pure formless awareness of perfect love within me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because this awareness will direct me. I am content to be wherever it wishes, knowing it goes there with me, and I will be healed as I let it teach me to heal.
Yeah, it's a lovely prayer. It's a lovely reminder. You know, I'm here only to be truly helpful. Gives you an anchor, a rock to anchor your life on. You know, what's truly helpful for myself as well as for others, you know, for the whole. If you ask yourself this question, then you can't fail to also be given the guidance in what is truly helpful. So this is incorporated into your daily schedule. If you go further down the email, you see that it's in the ideal daily schedule. As a reminder, every day every morning, just read the prayer. Only takes a minute or two, and can help you to just set yourself up for the day in the right frame of mind. Okay, I'm here to be truly helpful. So then it's not just about me. You see, this prayer removes the focus from you. It's not just about you and your interests. It's to be truly helpful to everyone. And that is in your best interests. What is really in your best interest is to be helpful to everyone. And the question becomes, well, what is truly helpful? And that takes some wisdom, doesn't it? Well, what is truly helpful? Is it truly helpful to just help everyone else, and then I run myself down and I end up feeling, lacking any energy and demotivated and maybe resentful? That's not helpful, truly, because it doesn't help me as well. It's got to be helpful for the whole.
Yeah.
So it takes some wisdom to apply this. So remember, being truly helpful also includes you. You're part of the whole. You can't be truly helpful if you are in your wrong mind yourself. This is why in the airline industry, whenever they give the safety spiel beginning, they always say, put the mask over your own mouth and nose before helping anyone else, because they know if you're distressed and you don't have oxygen and you start panicking, you're not going to be able to help anyone else and be calm. And so rather sort yourself out. Okay, I'm breathing, then I sort other people out from that space of I'm okay. You see, it makes a lot of sense, but the ego might try and make you forget that. In a crisis, you might go, oh no, it's all about other people, and then you don't honor yourself and look after yourself, which isn't helping you or them, because you can't be helpful if you're falling apart. mentally and emotionally, you can't really help anyone, can you?
No, no, yeah, well, yes, yeah,
So it's a
true.
big lesson, I think. Particularly, it seems women tend to do this a lot.
I'm guilty of that one, yes, yeah. You
Oh.
run yourself
No, you're
down.
not guilty. Always remember, there's no
Oh,
guilt. It's
no,
just
yeah, I mean, yes,
you're
exactly.
mistaken. The correct
Yeah,
language is you're mistaken.
yeah, I'm mistaken.
Um,
It's a bad habit.
in that thought pattern and behavior that it's just I'm giving to my detriment, and then I feel angry and resentful. Doesn't help me, and it doesn't serve anyone else either. So I need to then do what I need to do to restore my own mind, to nurture myself and my own state of mind and health and well-being. And from that state, I can then be truly helpful, particularly carers. So you're really in a carer role. I
Mhm.
think the grave danger is you don't serve yourself and
That's,
help
yeah,
yourself, and then you run yourself down and you find, okay, well, I'm struggling now. I'm feeling low
yeah,
energy, or I'm feeling depressed, and what's the point? And then you can't really be too helpful to the person you're caring for, can you?
yeah, that's true.
So, like, essential part of doing anything like you're doing is to maintain your own
Yes,
mental and emotional state on an even keel.
yeah.
Not to say you're always going to be, you know, joyfully happy and blissful. No, you're just
No, no,
okay.
yeah,
There's an underlying peace. I'm okay. I'm not mentally and emotionally turbulated. I don't feel low energy. I'm just kind of on an
the
even
flow.
keel, and I can help, in a sort of peaceful flow. And I can be much more helpful in that state
Oh,
to the
yes,
person I'm
yes,
caring for. So then it should be my priority to help them as well as myself, to
yeah,
care for myself enough so that I can maintain that state, which
yeah,
is exactly why, you're doing the spiritual practices and joining these sessions
yeah,
so
yeah,
that you can do that. And so it's not, wasted time. I know David said to you, well, what are you doing? Why are you spending so much time? Well, it's so that you can manage
the
to
situation. Yeah.
the situation, to keep going and to stay
Mm,
positive, stay peaceful, and
yes,
keep helping him in whatever situations arise, as they do and as they will continue to
yes,
do.
yeah.
It's to make sure I'm okay first and foremost,
This
because if you're
trust.
not okay, then he's not okay, because you can't help him very much if you're not okay.
No,
Well,
no, that's true.
so there's
True.
sort of a wisdom to this daily prayer to be truly helpful. It doesn't mean just give and give and give, and then eventually got nothing left to give, and you kind of
Worn
bomb
out.
out yourself, have
Yeah.
a
Which
kind of
happens.
breakdown.
Yeah.
That's not being truly helpful. That, in
No.
fact, is the ego trying to destroy and sabotage
Mm,
your true helpfulness. So it requires a bit of wisdom and discernment to be able to
yeah.
apply this.
Yeah.
So sometimes being truly helpful might be like, okay, I can't do that. I'll say no, because that's actually being truly helpful, even though it doesn't look like that on the level of form,
Mm.
does it? Because in that moment you have to say no. Like the other day, you said I had to say no to
Oh,
going
yesterday.
fetching.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Because you're like, no, it's going to be more helpful for overall, for the including Dave, for me
Yeah.
to take a break and just center myself and do my spiritual
Yeah.
practice,
Hmm.
and not stress myself further, and draw when it's not really necessary, because he's quite capable of calling a taxi.
Oh,
And
yes.
he also
Yes.
needs to learn. I mean, the thing is with boundaries, it's like you gotta then communicate that to the person you're caring for and say, look, these are the boundaries. So this is what I'll do and this is what I won't do. And you
Mm.
also need to be responsible for yourself to
Yeah.
whatever extent you can be.
Mm.
So if you because that's a classic, what happens in these situations is the one person becomes completely codependent on the other, and then the carer also is codependent on the person needing the care, because the carer wants to feel needed, and so it
Yes.
can develop into a very unhealthy codependent relationship that doesn't really
Yeah.
serve either person's awakening.
Mm.
You're the carer, and you have to say, okay, I need to manage this. Yes, obviously I need to play my role and be kind and empathetic and compassionate, all those things, but I need to be kind to myself and gentle with myself
Yes.
first.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I can't sustain this. It's not going to be able to
True.
continue if I'm running myself down. And it's the wisdom to know when, it's appropriate to say, okay, no, I can't meet that need. I can't do what you want me to do because I need the time for myself. And to
Yeah.
communicate that in a still a loving way, the person understands. They're like, okay, it's not that you don't care about me. Actually, you're doing this because you do care about me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's
That's
a
right.
bigger picture to that care. This is looking at it holistically rather than just in the moment, saying, well, overall, I need to look after myself. And so I have to start doing that. And if I can do that, and build it into the way I'm operating, then it's what I'm doing becomes sustainable. I can carry on for
Mm-hmm.
potentially years. But if it's not sustainable, then it's going to crash and burn, at some
Yes.
point.
Yes.
And then that's not hasn't helped you or the person you're caring of. Because if you crash and burn and you can't care for them, then what are they going to do?
Mm-hmm. True.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit of wisdom and discernment. But I think, sounds like you're doing that and
Yeah.
learning to, it's part of self-love. If I am loved, then I'm worthy of being treated well by myself, and I'm worthy of respect and, forms of love that are helpful to me as well.
Mm.
So you understand that there's the pattern of not giving, of giving too much is really related to a low self-image, to a false
People
self-concept
please.
of I'm not
Mm.
quite good enough. So I'm always going to try and seek approval and seek recognition, approval, and love through my acts of service. That's a very common approach
Mm.
for someone in that mindset. And then, but if you giving more than you can psychologically afford to give, so you end up being resentful, then that's not helpful for you because it's
Mm.
putting you back into the ego's thought system. All right. So yeah, a bit of teaching on that. I think you
Mm-hmm.
kind of get it, but it's useful to just
Put it
sometimes
into
talk about it.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah, and understand the principles behind it. I also mention in this recorded discussion the importance of having a spiritual path and regular spiritual practice in life, rather than limiting yourself to forever being a spiritual seeker, seeking knowledge, but never really going deeper into the truth of oneness and love, which are really the only things we're here to learn. So the spiritual path is how you nurture yourself. When you do spiritual practice, you're really saying, I love myself enough to do this, to give
Mm.
myself the gift of the time and so on to do this. And again, I think often, just in my experience, I'm not saying this is always, but many women struggle with this,
Mm.
to give themselves the time to say, yeah, okay, I'll honor myself because they're always serving other people's needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it's but they have to do it, and they can't expect anyone else to. They have to say, okay, this is it. This is how I want this to work, and if they have a partner and kids and whatever the situation is, say, okay, this is how it's going to work,
Mm.
and be quite firm in that. So and make time for themselves. All right, and then I also talked about the win-loss program of the ego, the idea of sacrifice and limitation that is its central thought system, central to its thought system. The Rugby World Cup was going on at the time, so I used that to illustrate it. So any of these tournaments, whether it's rugby, football, doesn't really matter. It's all the same. Only one team, and if it's a national competition, then only one nation ends up being happy with the outcome. And everyone else is disappointed and feels like they lose at the end of the tournament. Well, it can only be the ego that could set up a game like that. Everyone else goes away disappointed. I mean, you see the extent, these grown men crying on a football pitch or on a rugby pitch because they've lost, and they're just devastated because they, well attached to the outcome, and they've identified themselves with the team and the nation, and now they feel they've disappointed everyone, and all of that kind of hype and emotion, and then you can just see it all just comes crashing down. And I find the contrast, the end of these games, fascinating still to watch. One team is elated, absolutely joyful, and the others down in the doldrums. And one set of supporters are, yeah, and the others are, it's like we talk about duality.
They're a
So half
classic.
of them are miserable and really in sadness and despair and a very low kind of state, and the others are like ecstatic with joy.
Okay.
And yet, the difference between the joy and the sorrow might be like one kick of the football. You happen to hit a football into a net, or you kick a foot in rugby case, get a try over the line or kick it over the post. I mean, it's ridiculous, really. I think how that works, how an entire nation, their mood can be so influenced by what happens on a football pitch. Which can be so random. It's like, well, often it's just luck of the. I'll give you an example. In the last Rugby World Cup, South Africa nearly lost 3 times. South Africa won by 1 point 3 times in a row to ultimately win. Well, I mean, it's so like if things had just gone a little bit differently, they wouldn't have won. It's all very random. It's like, okay, well, just everything just happened to fall for them, and they won the tournament. But one kick. I mean, they beat England with 2 minutes to go, and they got a penalty and then kicked it over. Well, if they'd missed, then that would have been it. They would have lost. You can't rely on anything so unstable for your mental and emotional state, surely. Yes, that's the lesson. You can't rely on these games of chance or, win-loss as the basis for your mental and emotional state. If you do, then you're on the roller coaster ride. And of course, most people do. You get sucked into these games and into life. The game's just a part of the illusion, the game of life. We get sucked into it, and we forget that it's a very bad idea to allow your mental and emotional state to be affected by something that's so changeable and so unstable. So yeah, we can learn. You can learn from looking at these things that go on in this world and see the spiritual principles that are being revealed. And then we read the text, creation and communication. Phil asked a question about what abstract thinking is, which I answered just by saying it's just awareness. Pure formless awareness is the abstract thinking that Yesh was talking about. And Bali asked how the ego uses communication for its purpose of separation, which was an interesting question. And so what the ego does is it communicates, but it communicates to perpetuate separation. So, for instance, we were talking about business earlier. The context of that, you're trying to do some business, and now there's communication, but the parties communicate in a hostile, aggressive manner. In a way that's like disrespectful to the other people, or clearly just self-interested, and they're not respecting the others. Well, that would be communication for its purpose of separation. So although it's communication, it's not true communication because it's actually designed to separate rather than to unify. So that's how the ego misuses communication. So it was a good session. Yeah, close the session with a little prayer of love and gratitude and extended that. So good session from the archives. This was 5 years ago we recorded it. But the beauty of this stuff is it's timeless, so it doesn't matter when it was recorded. You know, it's time. We're talking about timeless ideas and teachings, experience that doesn't really change. And the more you look at human life, although technology has changed a great deal in the last 2,000 odd years, nothing really much has changed in terms of the psyche. It's why the Buddhists and Christian Yeshua's insights are still as valid, possibly even more so, as they were two to 2,500 years ago. And the Buddha's teachings about non-attachment and the cause of all suffering are still spot on. They're still true, and in fact more pertinent now than ever, because we've got a society that's completely forgotten that and gone down this insane path of desire and expectation and thinking that that's going to make us happy, when the teaching is very clear that it won't. And the same with Yeshua's teachings, still enormously valid, even more so in a world as unconscious as ours. They're even more necessary maybe than they were 2,000 years ago, arguably. There was a lot of unconsciousness and pain and suffering going on then, but I think now the ego's got more sophisticated, and apparently, it's created a society and world that offers us something. If you're middle to upper class, you have quite a nice life. You've got various conveniences and technology, and there's a sense of, okay, well, actually the world's not so bad. Whereas that, throughout human history, hasn't always been the case. Most people have lived in abject poverty, and then it becomes fairly self-evident that this isn't a great life. Which is why religion probably thrived in the Middle Ages, because mostly the poor were in poverty, and there wasn't really much happiness or joy on the level of form. They were basically slaves. So then the teaching that said, well, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and there's this transcendent dimension of heaven, and you can go there, would be attractive. Okay, anyway, bit of a digression. Let's carry on. So on Saturday, we're going to finish The Matrix. So if you haven't watched this 25-minute synopsis of what the Matrix movie is saying about society and the world in which we live, then do that. It's a great kind of high-level synopsis that summarizes it all very well, and will give you a high-level overview of its major themes, help you relate them to the teachings of religions and philosophers through the ages. And you also see it talks about the connections with other movies, books, and spiritual teachings. So there's all these references that you start to see when you watch The Matrix, that reference to these other sources. Almost like a reference note in a book. The movie just drops those in frequently, and you can see the references to famous books and movies that have a message, and then you can relate that message to what the Matrix is saying. So they've done that very cleverly. So yeah, we'll look at the last 40 minutes or so on Saturday from 8 p.m. We should be done by 9:30 latest. So it's only 40 minutes, so a bit of discussion and slippage because we might start a bit late. So yeah, should be done by 9:30 latest. So join it here. Will you be able to join, Elaine?
I'm not sure because got some friends over at the moment. So and Saturday we were going to go for an Indian. So, but with Dave, we're not sure if Dave's in or out. So I'll have to just.
It's also later evening. It's 8 o'clock. So if you did an early curry, then you could come and join.
So not sure
Let
yet.
me know. Yeah, all right.
I will do.
On Saturday.
I will. Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to our live session today, and today's lesson. So let's jump into that. Okay, so today's lesson, which is lesson, just zoom in a bit. Lesson 25 we're on to, if you can read that, and then these ideas in the slides that you kindly shared with me.
Mm-hmm.
You can read the
I
key.
do not yet. I do not know what anything is for.
Quite a statement, really. I don't know what anything's for. So the ego's convinced us that it knows exactly what everything is for. You know, example, a cup is for drinking out of. Computers for, you know, working at and communicating with. But what it doesn't tell us is what's the ultimate purpose of all of it. The purpose is at a superficial level, and the level of form and illusion. You know, within the illusion, you know, it seems to be a valid statement to say that the cup is for drinking out of, and a table is so that you can put things on it and work and so on, eat and work and so on. So on one level, that's true, the level of form, but on another level, that's which is what he's asking us to go to here. Actually, I don't know what it's for. Is it really just for the, you know, the practical purpose that the ego has told me, or is it actually for something else? All right, so carry on. If you can read that little commentary based on the lesson in that slide.
We see everything in our environment as having the purpose of serving our separate self. That simply cannot be what its true purpose is. Our desires flow from our nature. Therefore, if we have forgotten what we are, we will also have forgotten what we really want. Imagine, for instance, that you became convinced you were a koala. The desires you identified with at that point would be to climb a eucalyptus tree and start eating its leaves, which happen to be poisonous to humans. And then the next paragraph.
Well,
yet since we are not a koala, as we move to serve the koala's needs, our real needs go unmet. We are a whole other order of being, a shared being. Yet we are convinced we are intelligent primates living on a rock in space, having personal interests. How then can we not be deeply confused about what anything is for?
It's using the idea of the koala because it seems so ridiculous. Well, why? You know, of course we're not koalas. We don't want to be climbing eucalyptus trees, which are actually poisonous. But you know, the point is, if we thought we were, we had that delusion, and we tried to meet our needs from that apparent self that we've identified with, we'd be completely deluded. And it wouldn't be in our best interest to go climbing trees and eating poisonous leaves, would it? So then we're deeply confused about, because our self-concept, our identity, we're confused about. How then can we not be deeply confused about what anything is for? Because our needs come from our self-concept. If we're confused about our self-concept, who we are, then we're confused about everything. Because our needs, our desires, our expectations, our fears, all of our perceptions come from that self-concept. That's what it's trying to say. Okay. So nice example there. And then saying, yeah, everything's a means for returning home.
Yeah. Do you want me to read that?
Yeah.
Purpose cannot be understood at a superficial levels. The telephone is for joining with a brother, for extending messages of love, healing and comfort. A meal is for energizing that we may effectively do our part in God's plan, following His guidance. The computer is for learning and teaching salvation. The pen is for writing messages of healing for another. The situation is for learning forgiveness, or for learning that my safety lies in God, or for expressing love, or undoing pain by choosing anew. The hand is for extending miracles. These are my true desires, which come from my true nature and which bring me real joy. You, as God's Son, have your own needs, holy needs, that go against the needs of the ego and the body.
Yeah, so saying that there's another perspective of meaning. There's a higher transcendent purpose to everything. Looking at ordinary things like a telephone, a computer, even a desk, a chair, a cup, you can see it on just on the level of form and give it that purpose, but you can also see it from a higher perspective, that this is there to help you in your journey of awakening to the truth. That's all it's really there for. Which is a profound turnaround in your mind. Okay, so just a bit about the centaur. It's kind of funny. Let's read that commentary.
You, as God's Son, have been on the centaur for years. In fact, you never get off. After all the time, you feel completely identified with both parts of the centaur. The ego is seeking its own glorification, constantly charging around, puffing itself up and putting out all the fires of negative opinion about it. The ego and the body are allies. The whole claim to existence is that they are integral parts of you, when in truth they are not part of you at all. The body, all it wants to do is eat, lay in the sun, and have sex.
Kind of funny, actually, when it's stated this way. I like this description of the ego, seeking its own glorification, charging around, puffing itself up, putting out all the fires of negative opinion around it. Just a good example of someone like this would be Donald Trump kind of character. He's charging around, puffing himself up. He's got all these obviously naysayers and detractors, so he's got to manage that, put out all the fires of negative opinion about it. And there's a whole machine to do that. He's got various people working to do all of this. It's like the ego in overdrive. And it's all insane. None of it means anything. So we've just been allowing this centaur. I don't know why he chose a centaur, but anyway, centaur is half man, I suppose, because it's a hybrid, half man, half horse. So you feel identified with both parts. There's the spirit and there's the ego, and we split between them. And we don't know, we haven't still made a choice. And there's a couple of little points from the course, some quotes. So if you want to read those, and then we'll go into the lesson itself.
Yeah. What the Course says about what things are for. The acceptance of the at-one-ment by everyone is only a matter of time. In fact, both time and matter were made for this purpose. Time is a teaching device and a means to an end. It will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. To the Holy Spirit, the world is a place where you learn to forgive yourself, what you think of as your sins. The Holy Spirit sees the body only as a means of communication. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom.
And one more. What is your brother for?
Oh, what is your brother for? You do not know. He asks for help in every dream he has, and you have help to give him.
Yeah. So there's some very clear, succinct statements about what things are really for. The Holy Spirit's perspective on the world and on everything is a very different perspective from your egos, isn't it? Much more aware, much more mindful, aware, less, well, can't, this perspective can't hurt you, whereas the ego's perception of things will always hurt you. See, there's a place where the Son of God finds his freedom, where he learns to let go and let go of the ego and transcend it to stay rooted in pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's what the body and the illusion is really for. All right, so let's go to the lesson. You can read that in the alternative. The only translation there is that see becomes perceive, because perceive is a broader term. See involves the visual sense, but perceive involves all five senses. And in fact, your mind. The idea of perception is that it's an interpretation. So he uses see, but actually in the seeing is involves not just visual seeing, it's perception. There's a interpretive quality in the seeing. So that's why we translate it as perceive, because perceive implies such interpretation as well as just the raw sensory inputs from your senses as well. Okay, so from the top of the alternative, number one.
Purpose is meaning. Today's idea explains why nothing you perceive means anything. You do not know what it is for. Therefore, it is meaningless to you. Everything is for your own best interests. That is what it is for. That is its purpose. That is what it means. It is in recognizing this that your goals become unified. It is recognizing this that what you perceive is given meaning.
Okay, thoughts on that?
Well, it's trying to tell us that nothing we perceive means anything. It's meaningless. And really everything is for our own best interests. And that our goals have become unified. So then this is by recognizing this is what you perceive is giving meaning. Given meaning, yeah.
So everything is actually happening for you. So it's happening not to you, but for you. It does, but it often doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's happening against you. And that's the ego's misperception. You know, the world is unfairly treating you and you're a victim, and on it goes. And then it says, you know, it's in your best interest to get upset or to fight back or to do whatever. But actually that's not your best interest at all. Your best interest is to realize that this is just your own lessons, your own projection, and you have the opportunity to correct your error. That's why whatever seems to happen, it's always in your best interests. It gives you the opportunity to correct your error, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you can see that, then it's always happening. Everything's always happening in your best interests. And then you have a unified goal. Okay, in every situation, my goal is to let go of my ego's misperceptions and accept the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation, which is that this is helpful in letting go of my ego. Then I have a unified purpose for that I can apply to every situation I encounter. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So carry on to number 2. Again, in the alternative, you perceive the world.
You perceive the world and everything in it as meaningful in terms of the goals of your separate self. These goals have nothing to do with your own best interests because you are not a separate self. This false identification makes you incapable of understanding what anything is for. As a result, you are bound to misuse it. When you believe this, you will try to withdraw the goals you have assigned to the world instead of attempting to reinforce them.
Oh,
So we're just seeing the
you're saying
world.
that?
Well, we're giving meaning to the world in terms of our goals as a separate self, but these goals are nothing to do with your own best interests because you are not a separate self.
Yeah, if you I think the point here is so clear. If you don't even know who you are, how can your goals mean anything? Because it all comes down to the self-concept, doesn't it? Self-concept determines the meaning that's given to everything. So if your self-concept's false, and then that self-concept's telling you, well, do this and this in pursuit of these goals that it values, but that whole self-concept is false, then those goals don't mean anything, do they? They're meaningless. If you realize that actually I've got it all wrong, this self-concept isn't me, then you will try to withdraw the goals you've assigned to the world instead of attempting to reinforce them, because you realize it's all upside down and backwards, and it's actually not serving you at all, taking you in the wrong direction, not the right direction. Because the you that you thought you were that was serving is not you. Actually, the real you is beyond that, way beyond the separate self and its petty desires and fears. All right. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Go to number 3.
Another way of describing the goals you now perceive is to say that you are all concerned with personal interests. Since you have no personal interests, your goals are really concerned with nothing. In cherishing them, therefore, you have no goals at all, and thus you do not know what anything is for.
Yeah, what's he saying there?
Well, we have personal interests in our goals, but really our goals are concerned with nothing. We're cherishing them, but there's no goal at all in them, so it's meaningless. So this is why they're saying you don't know what anything is for.
Yeah. You have no personal interest. Remember, personal comes from the Greek persona, which was a mask. In ancient Greece, they had theater going on, and they would use the persona, a mask, to cover the actor's face, and so they would then take on the character of whatever, whoever they were portraying in the play. So that's where it comes from. So because you are not the mask, i.e., the false identity the ego's given you, then the personal interests, the persona's interests are not real. Therefore, they're nothing. You know, what is false is really nothing. And so if you value them, you're valuing nothing. And if you value nothing and you give it a meaning and a value which it doesn't have, you don't know what anything is really for. You're valuing it falsely. It's pretty simple logic, what he's saying, but nevertheless profound, because he's really saying you're clueless. You have no idea who you are, and so you have no idea what your true purpose is and what's in your best interests if you don't know who you are, because it comes down to the self-concept. So it's very profound, radical stuff that can ultimately undo all of these personal interests and goals, which don't really make any sense. And then he says, before you can make any sense out of the exercises for today, so acknowledges like, okay, well, maybe it's a bit of resistance. One more thought is necessary. I'm going to read number 4.
Before you can make any sense out of the exercises for today, one more thought is necessary. At the most superficial levels, you do not recognize purpose, yet purpose cannot.
You do recognize it. You do recognize purpose.
You do recognize purpose, yet purpose cannot be understood at these levels. For example, you do not understand that a telephone.
No, you do understand. I don't know why you keep putting it in not.
Oh, sorry.
Example, you do understand. Maybe it's Freudian slip. You do understand.
For example, you do understand that a telephone is for the purpose of talking to someone who is not physically in your immediate vicinity. What you do not understand is what you want to reach him for, and it is this that makes your contact with him meaningful or not.
So he's asking us to look at purpose and meaning, the deeper meaning behind the level of form meaning. Yes, on the level of form, a telephone is for talking to someone who's not there. You know, if they're out there, you don't need a telephone. Although teenagers might beg to differ, they seem to text each other when they're in the same room, but never mind. So the on the superficial level, as is talked about here, you know, the telephone is for making a call or sending a text to someone who's not there, communicating. But what are you communicating about? What are you communicating for? That's the question. Are you joining with them, extending messages of love, healing, and comfort? Or are you playing your ego's games using the telephone? Trying to be superior, one up, or inferior, or victim, or manipulating, or controlling. And you can apply this logic to anything, like a meal. Okay, so are you eating the meal to nourish your body so that you can be healthy and strong and do the will of God? And or are you eating a meal just to get pleasure out of the food, to some kind of temporary gratification, because you're addicted to the taste? Are you eating a meal because you want to look good to other people? These are the meaning and the purpose we give to these common things is what he's pointing to here. Computer, again, these communication devices we have, they're good ones to look at. Computer, well, you can use a computer to spread messages of love and peace and joy into the world, as, like, say, I've tried to do with the art of letting go, sending out positive messages that are helpful and so on. Or you could use it to go and post a whole lot of hateful, aggressive, attacking stuff online. Go into wherever forums. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to do either. So what purpose are you giving it? What meaning are you giving it? And the same applies to anything. A pen, okay, well, are you writing? What are you doing with the pen? And then what are you doing with any situation? Is the situation a means to satisfy your ego's goals, or is it a means to learn forgiveness or letting go of your ego and learning that my safety lies in God, or expressing love, or for undoing pain by choosing anew? So what purpose do you give to everything? What purpose do you give for your body? Is your body there to be a vehicle for communication and to help extend love and peace and joy to others, or is your body there to meet your separate needs, to give you pleasure, to try and avoid pain? What purpose do you give it? And that's what's important, and that's what this lesson points to. What meaning do you give it? If I don't know what anything is for, then what it does is it opens the mind to accept to another meaning, doesn't it? That's why these early lessons are primarily concerned with undoing. You might say, well, it's a bit negative. I don't know what anything's for. But he's not going to leave you there. He's going to help you to learn what everything is for. But first, you must question. That's the start of it, and then ultimately let go of your current beliefs. Because if you think that you know what everything is for, then you're not open to anything else, are you?
No.
But someone who's stuck in their ego has a very fixed idea about what everything is for, and they're not open to changing that. So you say to someone like that, you don't really know anything, you're clueless, they'll take offense, won't they? So, well, actually, of course I do. I'm wise in the ways of the world. I know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm very competent and successful in my life. Yeah, I've got it kind of handled. But they don't really. If they're not following the plan of the Holy Spirit and waking up, they don't really know what everything is for, because they've denied the fundamental purpose. The only purpose of everything in this world is to serve the awakening or the at-one-ment. So better to say, I don't know what anything's for, which is why, humility is so important. He who humbles himself will be made great, said Yeshua when he was alive. So important, because it allows you to humble yourself and say, okay, I'm clueless. I don't know what anything is for. But if that's the case, then I'm also open to suggestions. If I don't know what anything for, okay, then that starts me wondering, what is it for? Maybe I need to learn that. And so it opens up. It's like emptying the vessel. You've heard of the idea of the empty vessel. You empty the vessel, which is full of, let's say, not a very nice water, brackish, unclean, polluted water, which you can't really drink or do anything with. Well, you have to empty that cup first, empty the vessel out of that unclean water before you can fill it again with reasonable, decent water, pure water. So same thing. So these are part of the undoing of and the letting go of everything that fills your cup, the cup being your mind, to clean it out so that you open then to having it filled with other ideas. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
So go back to number 4, are we? Yeah, we just done number 4.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Yeah. It is crucial to your learning to be willing to give up the goals you have established for everything. The recognition that they are meaningless rather than good or bad is the only way to accomplish this. The idea for today is a step in this direction. So it's just saying it's crucial for our learning to give up the goals we established for everything. And just recognize they're meaningless, neither good nor bad.
That's quite a major, what he's saying in this paragraph is huge. Give up the goals that you've assigned to everything. Wow, okay. So that's just undoing everything I thought was of value in this world, isn't it? Everything that I thought was meaningful and valuable and I've pursued, he's asking us to give it all up and just accept that these are all meaningless. And of course, that's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight, but with these lessons, he's starting that process, asking us to practice and start this process of letting go, which we can do now. So I'm going to a meditation on this to practice the lesson, if you like, unless you have any comments or questions about it.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
All good. All right. So let's just go into a meditation on this lesson 25. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting in your favorite meditation posture. Put your hands in your lap, each shoulder width apart. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And breathing in, noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscles to lock the energy in. Squeeze the last drops of urine out. And you just breathe in again and pause at the top of the inhale. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up the spine. If you like, you can put one hand on your heart center, just to bring your attention into your heart space. And draw the energy up into the crown of your head. Breathing in again. Repeat today's idea. As you breathe and say, I do not know what anything is for. Just scan your mind for any situations, people, places, events, circumstances, and so on that show up. Just remind yourself that I do not know what this, whatever it is for, this person, this object, this situation is for. Say this quite slowly, very deliberately and firmly. I do not know what this is for. So I do not know what anything is for. And exhale. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in a calm, peaceful state. Breathing in and out through your nose. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, the subtle flow of air through the nostrils. And then you just let it go and observe the breath flowing out of the nostrils. Breathing in and out. Going deeper with each breath into a deeper part of your mind. Part of your mind beyond the meaning, the interpretation, the goals that you've assigned to everything in the world, to a place that transcends that. It's a deeper meaning. Any thoughts come up? Anything at all, just look at it from this perspective and say, I do not know what this thing, person, object, whatever you're thinking about is for. And then let it go with the help of your breath. Exhaling, blowing it out like a dark cloud or black smoke. It's going, gone. It's leaving you. It's going into the nothingness that it really is. Cloud just drifting away. These thoughts, goals, dreams, aspirations, expectations, desires of the ego are nothing, like cloud patterns, just blowing away. Blow them away with the breeze of your breath. It's going into the nothingness. It really is. So just stay in the blue sky beyond the clouds. As this eternal blue sky, which is true awareness, your formless awareness, perfect love, and the light of your source, which is the perfect love that shines through it. Just merge into that beautiful awareness, this deep, peaceful blue sky. It's all encompassing, nothing else outside of it. Say to yourself, I do not know what anything else is for. And just rest in this deep peace and stillness, beyond all the ego's separate selves, goals, expectations, and desires, lies the truth, which is very simple, very peaceful. So just allow yourself to experience this truth, slip into this awareness. Just watch your breath gently flowing in and out through your nose to help you stay rooted in this deeper awareness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, observe the breath, relax, be still, and surrender into the stillness. Sinking inwards, going deeper with each breath into the eternal blue sky that is beyond all of your ego's thoughts and goals and dreams and desires and expectations. Just for a moment, give yourself the gift of merging with this awareness. So just gently coming back in this deep connected state. Internal awareness of the body and the breath. And senses in the world. On the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. Noticing how the breath flows in through the nostrils, clench the sphincter muscle. Notice that sensation in the body as you do that. Maybe some subtle energy rising up to the crown of your head, pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind again. Any thoughts about anything, any person, situation, any object, anything you desire, particularly look at any expectations, desires, goals. And remind yourself that I do not know what this is really for. Name it. Exhale on the truth of that. Just blow it all out, letting it all go. Imagine it's like a cloud just drifting by. Just drifting out of your awareness into the nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. All the way stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here. In this calm, peaceful state. On the count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair or wherever you're sitting, feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling. Your hands, maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, the smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing and the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. Not illusions, and show you the truth is true. Connect to the state, anchor it in, set the intention to stay here for the rest of the session and the evening. So it is said, so it is done. On the count of 3 now, you're going to open your eyes. I'm going to practice the lesson in its external form. So just look around the room in this pretty detached, calm way. Let your glance rest on whatever happens to catch your eye, near or far, so-called important, valuable, or unimportant, human or non-human, doesn't really matter. Then say, I do not know what anything is for. Just slowly to yourself as you look around. And then as your eyes rest on each subject, say, for example, I do not know what this chair is for. And move on to the next thing. I do not know what this wall is for. I do not know what this hand is for. If you look at your hand, I do not know what this computer is for, tablet, and so on. Do that for, say, dozen objects. Spend a few seconds on each one, saying it quite slowly. Don't shift your eyes from the subject until you've completed the statement about it, and then go on to the next one. Apply the idea again. It's very simple. I do not know what this is for. Again, applied indiscriminately. No attempt to avoid any particular objects at all. So then one more time at the end of doing this, say to yourself, as you look around, scan the whole room, briefly just say, I do not know what anything is really for. But I am willing to learn. Which opens the way for the Holy Spirit to come in and teach you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the meditation and practicing the lesson. So let's move swiftly on now to our text reading, which is...
Do you mind? I'm after that meditation. I've dropped.
Okay. Well, you don't want to do the text.
Yeah, no, I'm really dropped now. I'm just very tired. Sorry.
Okay, it's only 3 paragraphs. Short,
Yeah,
actually quite short paragraphs.
no, I think it's just after meditation, you just really want to just have no words.
Hmm.
Yeah, just want to be still. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So see you tomorrow.
Yeah, all right, so then. So I'm gonna do a afternoon session tomorrow.
The only thing is I've got the
You do 1
hospital.
o'clock? Hmm.
I've got the hospital, so I'm not. Yeah, I've got to be for the specialist between
Hmm.
12 and 3. I've got to see the specialist. So in the afternoon, between 12 and 3 won't be possible.
Right. Okay. Did you want to do
5 o'clock.
no, I can't. I'm taking my son to football. So
Oh,
3 o'clock.
yeah.
I can do
Maybe,
if
yeah,
you join from 3 till 5, we could do a couple hours.
yeah, yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
great.
So
Okay,
3 o'clock tomorrow.
3 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Okay, good
Okay.
night then.
See you then.
Namaste. Bye.
I'm gonna stay. All right. So here we are with this section 5. This is the introduction to section 5. Sorry, chapter 5 of the text called Healing and Wholeness. I'll just read it quickly. So to heal is to make happy. Yeshua has told me to think how many opportunities I have had to make myself happy and how many I've refused. So it's the same as telling me that I've refused to heal myself. The pure formless awareness, which is the light, or pure formless awareness that belongs to me, is the light of joy, or the awareness of joy. Radiance is not associated with sorrow. Joy calls forth an integrated willingness to share it and promotes my mind's natural impulse to respond as one awareness. I attempt to heal without being wholly joyous myself. I call forth different kinds of responses at the same time, and so deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. So what's he saying in this one? To heal is to make happy. We have all these opportunities to gladden our souls or make ourselves happy, and yet refuse them. And it's the same as refusing to heal ourselves. And this awareness, pure formless awareness, which is the light, is joyful. Radiance, joy, it's not associated with sorrow. They're opposites. Joy calls forth this integrated willingness to share it. Really all we want to do if we're in our right mind and joyful is to share it, extend this joy out to others, which promotes my mind's natural impulse to respond as one awareness. Remember, we only want awareness, so it helps us to respond as one. If I attempt to heal without being wholly joyous myself, I call forth different kinds of responses at the same time, so deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. So if I'm not wholly joyous myself, my mind is still split, and I can call forth different kinds of responses. So you notice as we go on this journey of awakening, that often we vacillate ourselves and we call forth different kinds of responses from people. It's not wholly joyful. We may also stimulate some pain and some unhappiness, and not joyful in others, because that's still in us. So we deprive others of the joy of responding wholeheartedly. So it's asking us to really look within and see that the true awareness we have is joyful. And then naturally we want to share it. So to be wholehearted, to continue to paragraph 2, to be wholehearted, I must be happy. Fear and love cannot coexist. It is impossible to be wholly fearful and remain alive. The only possible whole state is love. There is no difference between love and joy. Therefore, the only possible whole state is the wholly joyful. For to heal or make joyful is the same as to integrate and make one. That is why it makes no difference to what part or by what part of extension the healing is offered. Every part benefits and benefits equally. So what's he saying in this one? To be wholehearted, I must be happy. I can't be wholehearted if I'm not happy, because happiness is the product of wholeheartedness. I'm wholehearted, I'm connected to my source, I'm in my true self, I'm in loving awareness. He's saying fear and love can't coexist. It's impossible to be wholly fearful and remain alive. The only possible whole state is love. It's logical from those two premises. So they can't coexist. You can't be wholly fearful and remain alive. Therefore, only love can be true, and fear clearly is an illusion. There's no difference between love and joy. So making that point that at the highest level, whatever word we use, love, joy, peace, doesn't really matter. It points to the same awareness, pure formless awareness, or perfect love, we call it. So therefore, the only possible whole state is the wholly joyful. And so if you're just in pure formless awareness, there's only that single awareness that would have to be wholly joyful, because there's no other awareness. Therefore, to heal or make joyful, same as to integrate and make one. It's making the point that when we talk about healing and making joyful, actually it's the same as integrating and making us one, healing the idea of separation in our minds. That's why it makes no difference to what part or by what part of extension the healing is offered. Every part benefits and benefits equally. So actually we extend our joy from our source, from love, and then because it's one awareness, every seeming part, which remember parts are illusory, but in the illusion we seem to be in parts and different bodies with different identities, every part will benefit and benefit equally from this one awareness, because we're all connected to that awareness, we're all part of that awareness. It makes us a part of something greater. In truth, when all the parts have realized this, then the parts cease to exist and merge back into perfect oneness. And there's only this opportunity to awaken and to spread joy. So he goes on, paragraph 3, you are being blessed. So I am being blessed in untranslated language by every beneficent thought of anyone anywhere. I should want to bless them in return out of gratitude. I need not know them individually, and they need not know me. Their formless awareness is so strong that it radiates throughout the extension and returns thanks to its source for extending its joy to everyone. Only perfect love's innocent extensions are worthy channels of its beautiful joy, because only they are beautiful enough to hold it by sharing it. It's only possible for the extensions of perfect love to love their companions as themselves. That's why the healer's prayer is, I choose to know this person as I know myself. Capital S, self. So what's he saying? He's just saying this one that any beneficent thought of anyone anywhere blesses me because it's part of the one awareness, which I'm part of, and I should want to bless them in return out of gratitude. need not know them individually. They need not know me. Doesn't really matter because that individual identity is an illusion anyway. Pure formless awareness is so strong that it radiates throughout the extension and returns thanks to its source for extending its joy to everyone. Only perfect love's innocent extensions are worthy channels of its beautiful joy. So we extend this joy out to everyone. And our source thanks us for it. The more we extend joy, the more we experience it. So we don't lose, we can only gain by extending it. So only innocent extensions. There's love. Innocence and love go hand in hand. Only these are worthy channels of its beautiful joy because only they are beautiful enough to hold it by sharing it. So I guess the key point here is we hold onto things by actually giving them away and sharing them. That's part of the Holy Spirit's lesson of the at-one-ment. As we give, we receive. It's only possible with extensions of perfect love. And love their companions as themselves. That's why the healer's prayer is, choose to know this person as I know myself. So if I can know them as myself, then I'm not seeing the separation. I'm experiencing only love. And from love comes joy that extends out. And share this out in joy. And loving awareness that extends out to others, as we call it unconditional love. And joy, as he says, are the same. They're not different. So your own true joy come in doing this extension, extending love and joy out. And as I extend to them and I feel it in myself, I come to know that this is myself. They are me, I am them, we are one, we have the same awareness. It's a loving, peaceful, joyful awareness. When I'm in that awareness, then I'm in my true self. And when I perceive them in this way, then I extend that true self to them, which reinforces my true self as my identity. And that's how we journey back to God. That's our true purpose, to reinforce our true identity by accepting love and then extending it out. Okay, so just a short summary. To heal is to make myself happy. Yeshua has reminded me to consider the numerous chances I've had to bring joy to myself, which I've often ignored. So denying my own healing. As pure forms of awareness, perfect love, my essence is. Awareness of joy. So when I'm in my right mind in true awareness, joy is a natural experience. And joyful encourages me to share this joy and unite with other minds. Even without my own joy invites varied responses. Going to heal. Trying to heal without being joyful. Only joyful myself. Invites varied responses. That's robbing others of so we must heal ourselves, really. What he's saying here. Must heal in order to heal ourselves, and then we extend this healing through our joy out to others. We must be happy to be wholehearted. Since fear and love cannot coexist in me, and total fear is incompatible with life, only my complete state is one of love. Is indistinguishable from joy. So love is wholehearted, love is complete. Therefore, healing, so love and joy indistinguishable. Therefore, healing or becoming joyful is the same as becoming integrated and united. It does not matter. Where offer or receive healing within the extension, all parts benefit equally. Because there are no separate selves. It's just one mind and one awareness. And I'm in that awareness and I extend that awareness, then it extends to everyone in the dream, and it doesn't really matter where it goes. So I'm blessed by every kind thought from anyone, repaying them with gratitude. Regardless of personal regardless of personal acquaintance. It's the original there. You don't know them individually, So when I know them personally. The strength has the strength as pure formless awareness extends joy through the extension, throughout the extension, thanking my source for sharing its joy through me. Whenever I extend joy, I'm actually giving thanks to my source, prayer of thanksgiving. So as an innocent extension of perfect love, I'm suited to channel this joy by loving everyone as myself. Hence, my healer's prayer is to see everyone as I see myself. To perceive everyone to know everyone as so. Heal thyself is really the key message of this. Recognize healing as my path to happiness, guided by the understanding that love and joy are the same expressions of my true identity as pure formless awareness of perfect love. An extension of perfect love, I'm committed to loving everyone as myself and sharing my joy universally. Heal my own mind. Okay, so I recognize healing is my path to happiness, guided by the understanding of joy, love and joy, the same expressions of my true identity as pure form, source, perfect love. Extension of perfect love, I'm committed to loving everyone as myself and sharing my joy universally. And so it is. Amen. Heal thyself is really the key. Committed to healing myself and others by loving everyone as myself and sharing my joy universally. So to heal is to make whole and to be one and joyful. It's all the same. It's in the same order of reality. So heal thyself, and you do that by loving everyone as yourself and sharing your joy universally. So a good message, a good introduction to the chapter on healing, which we will continue tomorrow. So thanks for watching or listening. If you're listening to the live stream, and that's the end of tonight's session. So thanks for watching, and if you'd like to know more about the Art of Letting Go course or program and how you can benefit from it, go to vaolg.com, find out more. sign up to join us for our next masterclass, which will be happening soon. And you can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, to be notified whenever I go live, which is 6 days a week. And finally, go to lifebold.com. You can see, watching the video, the spelling there, standard.com onto it. The URL is also below, and get some of the material I shared with you up front, like the daily quote and daily lesson from A Course in Miracles, and a short breath break or mini meditation to help practice it. Get that every day. Sent to you free via Telegram. So go to lifebold.com, put in your name and your mobile number that you use for Telegram. If you don't have Telegram, you can download it free from the App Store or Google Play Store. And yeah. So I hope to catch you on the inside soon. Do one of those things, take a next step, and hope to see you on the inside soon. Thanks for watching and listening, and namaste, which means the healed self, healed and healing self, and joyful self in me acknowledging what is that same healed, healing, and joyful self in you. Peace and joy. Wishing you much peace and joy.